Greetings, everyone.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you.
Greetings.
Baba Congo, you need to bring your camera up. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And greetings again. This is, again, the Freedom Friday Forum. I am Baba Mosi Matsimla. I am here together with my co-host, Baba Congo, Africa. And we're coming to you live and direct from the Woodson Banneker Jackson Bay Division, number 330 of RC 2020. This is our platform twice a month. And we come to you with a forum to introduce you to some of the folks we think, or we should say we know, will give you an education or a realization of what the world is all about. And so today we have a good brother, Amade Hamilton of the Watts Prophets. And of course, the Watts Prophets, if you know much about them, this is going way back in the days when, when you say rap, you meant something about what's happening in the world of reality. And when it's about African people, it's about the work of people who are struggling within and without, so as to make our future one of which we will redeem ourselves from this situation we're in, not just here in the USA, but in the world, because as the prophet said, the Watts prophets, there is a public enemy, and the public enemy number one is what is being used to keep us in place. So, but anyway, much of that will be explained to you later, or will be given to you from the discussions that will be through with Brother Amade Hamilton. Okay, so let me do my normal housework in opening up this Freedom Friday Forum. And I'll start with the official pledge to the flag. Okay, this official pledge to the flag is the red, black, and green flag, just to let you know, because some people may think that it's another flag. All right. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and to the liberation of her scattered Black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all Black people are free and united through one God, one aim, one destiny. And so, brothers and sisters, everyone out there, this is part of the ritual. And the next thing we'll do is we'll give to you the preamble of our Constitution, the Constitution of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League, which was promulgated in 1920, a very long time ago, 102 years ago. And it still means the same.
Baba Mosi, we lost your picture.
Lost up my picture. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. You know, as they say, somebody was told that the devil always working on you, and you.
We're gonna kick the devil into you. You know what?
You're back.
The devil will make you do violent things. So. All right. So let me read the preamble. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. But with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generation of man shall be called blessed. Of course, that's very hopeful for us all, those of us in the UNIA as well as outside of the UNIA. And now I must tell you, all African people are members. You just have to activate your membership with a certain coin. It could be Bitcoin at some point later, but the reality is we're not there yet. Okay, now I have to let those of us who do not know what the UNIA is all about, after giving you our preamble, I have to give you this one as well. The objects and aims. The objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall be to establish a universal confraternity among the race, to promote the spirit of pride and love, to reclaim the fallen, to administer to and assist the needy, to assist in civilizing the backward people of Africa, to assist in the development of independent Negro nations and communities, to establish commissionaries of agencies in the principal countries and cities of the world for the representation and protection of all Negroes, irrespective of nationality, to promote a conscientious spiritual worship among the native tribes of Africa, to establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people, to conduct a worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people, to work for better conditions in all Negro communities. Now, some of you, as I often do when we open up, I have to remind you, this is a 100-year-old written constitution, and some of the words you may think should be different in pronunciation or meaning, but let's face it, Negro means black, and that's what we mean when we use the word Negro. All right, so after doing that, I will turn this over to Baba Senghor, who will now do the other part of the introduction.
Yeah, greetings, everybody. Thank you, Baba Mosi. Baba Mosi is not only the president of the UNIA ACL Rehabilitating Committee, he's also the Minister of Information. And him and Baba Congo, who is with us, who is the vice president, they have been the founders of what we call Freedom Friday for a long time. We did Freedom Friday long before the pandemic came into existence. Since the pandemic, we've been doing it via Zoom, but we do a lot of topics. We talk about a lot of issues that are relevant to African people at home and abroad. This April, we're dedicating this particular month to a very special focus, which is very important that our youth understand that forever, I like to call it Blacktricity, but our music movement and messages have always come clean with those of us who are conscious that we're still in mental bondage or mental slavery. We're still oppressed, we're still down-pressed. We're rising back to our traditional greatness. But without any further ado, let me just break that down, and I'm gonna turn it over to my good brother, who I had the opportunity of growing up with in Banneker City, Brother James Wilson, who's gonna actually bring on our guest. But let me just tell you, April the 1st, which is today, We're focusing on music, message, and movement. How do they relate? And all the different particulars that go with that, because we know from vibe to spirit and then the soul, which is a book of poems that I put together that I did back in the 70s. But it's very important for us to recognize we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, but we take no prisoners and we're not playing. We're following our ancestors' legacy. This month, we're going to talk about this issue and push it out there. Thank everybody for joining us on Facebook, and particularly all the good folks that are on Zoom with us. On April the 8th, next Friday, which is our original Freedom Friday, we do 2. This month, we're doing 3. We're going to be focusing on the same topic, but we're going to bring on Ivy Hilton. We're going to bring on Brother Putu, and we're going to bring on Brother Jamal Gray and Ross Ledge. Later on, if time permits, I will talk a little bit about what that's going to be about, but we're going to get right into the business of the day. The next one will be April the 22nd, and all of these will be distributed on YouTube and around the world so that we can share them with all of our divisions and all of our Africans so that they can learn something. We wanted to start tonight with the real deal. Brother Amade, who has been around a good while, and the Watts Prophets, but I'm going to turn this over to my brother James Wilson, who connected us with this and who is representing us and is going to make the formal introduction, and we're going to get going. So without any further ado, my brother James.
Greetings all. It's a pleasure for me today to introduce this legendary poet, educator, and multi-dimensional artist, born in Houston, Texas, and raised in Watts, California. Father Amade, also known as Amade Poet, Amade Hamilton, is also the founding member of the world-renowned Watts Prophets poetry group, recognized for first defining and developing the universal art form of what is now called and has been called rap. The Watts Prophets in 1969, their album, Black Voices on the Streets of Watts, was heralded by Rolling Stone magazine for being one of the 40th most groundbreaking albums of all time. The Watts Prophets in 1971, their album, Rappin' Black in a White World, is documented as the first album to publish the word rapping, to define the art form in its title and composition. Amade Hamilton first began his writing career at the critically acclaimed 1965 Watts Writers' Workshop. Throughout his prolific career, he has studied and collaborated with some of the world's most noted artists, including Don Cherry, Horace Tab Scott, Billy Higgins, Bob Marley, Nina Simone, Quincy Jones, Richard Pryor, and Oscar Brown Jr. In addition, Father Amade became ordained as an Ethiopian Orthodox priest and studied under the tutelage of Archbishop Abuna Yesekwa of the Western Hemisphere. Can you say that?
Abuna Yisak.
Father Amade?
Abuna Yisak.
Ajista, yes.
Ye,
of the Western Hemisphere.
Y-E-S-H-A-Q.
Yes.
Yisak.
Yes. Amade was based when he was in Egypt at Pope Shenouda III of Alexandria's private home as he studied to become an Ethiopian Orthodox priest. I met Father Amade in Los Angeles right after Bob had passed, and my partner on the call here, Ross Jimmy Hyman was going to have Father Amade marry him at his church, where he had an elder Ethiopian priest do the services in Amharic and the old language Ge'ez, as he would do everything in English so that everyone here in the States would understand. And he had a wonderful church. And I remember attending a service at the church, and during that service, I was like I was a little kid again, an altar boy in Washington, D.C. at Catholic Church. And afterward, I went up to Father Amade. I said, that was like a high Catholic mass, Father Amade. She said, yeah, they stole that too. And so, you know, Father Amade is so well respected and honored. He spearheaded the first gang truce with the first known conception of the infamous Bloods and Crips, Los Angeles street gangs. Father Amade later baptized the high priestess of soul, Nina Simone, and presented a poem at his friend's funeral, the great Robert Nesta Marley. And it's just a pleasure to be able to introduce Father Amade to this community, this global community. But Father's known by everyone, and especially our ancestors. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Father Amade Hamilton, Kingman, always. Father, grandfather, great and great grandfather of over 100, I understand. Father Amade, take it away, brother.
Well, thank you all for inviting me here. You know, I was happy to hear everything about my career, but I'm just a poet. That's all I am. I'm not multi-talented like everybody feels sometimes I am, but I'm just a poet. And I started out doing poetry after I came out of the crazy house in prison. I was a drug addict the first part of my life up until I was about 26 years old, and walked into or was taken to the Watts Writers Workshop, which the FBI burned down to the ground. We came about right after the Watts riots, and being raised in Watts, I didn't know anything about writing. I had just gotten out of prison, and I was trying to get myself together. And I used to go to a program in Watts. At that time, it was called CETA program. And I would sit out there, I'd go and trying to get a job. And I would scribble on paper and throw it away. Scribble on paper and throw it away. And one of the guys that worked there, consulars, he was watching me. And one day I was sitting out there that morning, seeing if they were gonna put up any jobs that day. And he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey man, are you a writer?" And I had a habit of scribbling on paper and throwing away whenever I had a spare moment. I never knew what I was scribbling or anything. I don't remember anything, but I had a habit of it. I would scribble and draw little things on it, but I would mostly write little things. And so I had been sitting out there morning after morning doing that. And then when I'd leave, I'd throw the paper away in the trash. So that guy tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Hey man," he said, would you go to a workshop with me? Well, I thought he was gay or something, you know, hitting on me. But I say, well, will they have something to eat there? Because I was really in bad shape at that time. And he said, yeah, man, he kind of laughed. They have some hors d'oeuvres or something like that. So he picked me up that evening and he took me to the Watts Writers Workshop, started by a Jewish guy by the name of Bud Schuberg, who wrote the movie On the Waterfront. And he took me in there and he set me in this circle of writers. And now I'm an 8th grade dropout. You know, I stopped learning in the 8th grade, actually. And so that's what I told him when he asked me, was I a writer? I said, man, I don't know nothing about that. But so he sits me in this group of writers and they each read their poetry and they critique it. And finally it got around to me. And they said, okay, sir, we're ready to hear what you got. I said, I don't have anything, man. I said, I just came to this workshop because this guy brought me. I said, I'm not a writer or anything like that. And I don't have anything to read. The guy who is a writer, his name is Odie Hawkins. He has about 30 books now, maybe more. And he said, yes, you do have something to read, man. And he reached in his notebook. He had been picking these papers that I was throwing away out of the trash can. I don't know what he was getting my papers for, but he had been picking them out. And he said, read this. And when I read it, it kind of blew the crowd away. And that night a poet was born. And from there, I got with another brother, Richard Dito, and another guy, Otis O'Solomon, who just died. We'll be burying him on the 16th. But we started to go out as a group doing poetry. Now, my background in poetry is I come from the Griot tradition. And if you know anything about the Griot tradition, you know that they're the ones that really started, you could say, the civil rights movement, because they were the first ones after the Civil War in 1860 to say they wanted their vote. And they fought for it and continued over the years. So what they did also is they, in Louisiana, in the Creole tradition, they realized they were raped into existence, my grandmother and them and my ancestors. And they didn't never forget that. And they began to breed it. Now I'm 83 years old, I understand it. But they began to breed militant poets. They actually had schools in Louisiana that bred militant poets. And that was sort of passed down through our grandmothers. Richard Dito and I, the other guy and one of the other guys in the group, he also came from the same tradition. And our experiences were exactly alike. We were chosen by our grandmothers from amongst all the other grandchildren. And they let people know that we were special for something we never knew. So they begin to, like my grandmother, they would come and take me from my family, my mother and my brothers and sisters. And they didn't care what my mother said. They even jumped on her one day about rebelling, of not taking all of her children. Richard Dito, the other guy in the group, went through this same experience in his family. And they took us and they would keep us with them, my grandmother and my grandfather. And they were like we were in training. My grandmother, I think her thing was for me to be a Catholic priest, because it was a militant thing at that time, 70 years ago, if I would have been a priest, Catholic priest. And so that's how I got this tradition. The Louisiana poets, Creole poets, they published militant poetry, but they published in French. That's why you never read any of their writings. But amongst the Creole community, it was oral tradition, just as we are doing today, just as the Watts Prophets started doing in the 60s. We made, like he said, the first album in the world called Rap, and we knew it was a concept that we were creating because we were working with some very great people, and I was raised with that taught me what creativity was. Cats like Don Cherry, the father of organic creativity in world music, one of them. And Arnett Coleman was there. While Watts was a very musical community, so I had a good basis. And my family, grandma always kept a piano in the house, but they were always, I was always, now that I understand, under training by my grandmother and my grandfather. I thought that I was just going to go right into, into the Creole community and marry a little Creole girl and all that and deal with that. But my grandfather, who was black as an ace of spades, because you got to remember, many of the Louisiana Creoles came from Haiti. That's where the word Creole come from. And they came from Haiti when they were, because they were Creoles, and after the revolution, they began to kill the slave master's children, which were those Creole children. And many of them ran to Louisiana. And as I said, that's why they began to breed the militancy and us, and it came through grandmothers. I used to wonder why grandmothers in the Creole community took certain boys and they trained them, that papa and their grandmother. And so that's how I got into poetry. And we began to go out together, me and these other two cats. And we began to hear these work with these voices, 3 voices. And the FBI finally burned our workshop to the ground and blacklisted the Watts Prophets. But they let us work here and there because they wanted to really hear where we was coming from. And we was bringing a new art form that people loved. And we weren't, the difference in us and what I see today is that we had a cause. We wasn't in search of applause. But where everybody today that's doing poetry and stuff like that, as I say. But it came from my Louisiana and my Creole background, just as Huey Newton, he was from that same kind of thing. Many of us are Prince, Beyonce. The plantations there in Louisiana allowed the arts, and they also breeded artists. All of this was my roots, is what I'm talking about. But the language we used, because I didn't know anything about English, I used Ebonics, which was what my grandma and them taught, what they say. But I love to hear my grandma say, "Come here, boy, what you gonna do?" This and that. I love that, and that's what I took. I didn't know anything about English and still don't give a damn about it. I talked the language of my people at that time, and that's what made us poets, is our poeticness that came from the flavor of our grandmothers and our grandfathers. But you gotta know what I mean when I say Ebonics. When we first came here as slaves, I think the first one that screamed was the beginning of Ebonics, but it wasn't named Ebonics. And what happened is, when we came here, there were 7 or 8 different languages, other African languages amongst us on that plantation. We didn't speak all those languages, and we had to also learn the slave master's language. So we began to develop our own language. We took our common denominators from those different languages in Africa, across Africa, and began to form a new language. Nobody really understands this ever evolving new language until Paul Laurence Dunbar came about. And he was the first one. The white folks didn't even want his classical poetry. They wanted that new language. They knew it was a new language, an ever evolving language. So what happened, he was the first one to bring it to the front. Now, the next ones to do that were the Watts Prophets and the Last Poets. The Last Poets on the East Coast, the Watts Prophets on the West Coast. The Last Poets, they told you who they were, poets. They would have been insulted had you called them rappers. Well, I was coming from the streets, and my family, if you lived in the western part of the United States, meaning coming from New Orleans, Texas, California, the West Coast, the word rap was a colloquial word. Ever since I was 5 years old, I heard it on Central Avenue. I heard my uncle. It was street people's colloquial word, spoke by the, so that was my first introduction to the word rap. And it was like, it became over the years something similar to, what is it called in Africa? I can't think of it, I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, this language began to develop.
Patois.
Like I said, pardon?
Patois.
Patois, but it's something else. But anyway,
Jolly Kunda?
but it began to, the languages, after we begin to develop them, nobody defined it, what it was, till those brothers, I think it was in 1970 in Chicago or somewhere, a doctor and a professor, linguist and psychiatrist, they got together and labeled it Ebonics.
And
They
pidgin
realized,
English. Pidgin
pardon?
English. It was
And
called
pidgin
pidgin.
That's right. But in Louisiana, it was called what, it was just Louisiana Creole. That's what we kind of called it. But my grandfather also spoke French. But where was I? So anyway, that's how this ever evolving language. And so the Watts Prophets adopted that when I came out of the streets, because at that time, if you could rap, people would say, that nigga sure can rap. We would sit back and watch brothers rapping. And that was my thing. I wanted to be a rapper ever since I was a little boy. I wanted to rap good. And I kind of had a gift for gab. But we, Richard and I, basically, and the other cat in the group, we grabbed onto Ebonics because we didn't know nobody who spoke perfect English, no way. Yeah, most of the Black community didn't speak no perfect English. They all had a little flavor to what they were doing. So we began to grab on to this ever-evolving language that Black people are ashamed of today. The definition of it is Black sounds. And what really made us was we changed the conversation. We stopped bowing our heads and holding a hat in our hand. We started saying, going crazy with it. This is Black and a white world. We had all kinds of poems, wisdom and knowledge, left college. We talked about the world. We talked about what we were dealing with. And we really began to develop this. And over time, we realized that poetry had to have an effect, that we couldn't be just like going to church and listen to a preacher for 2 hours. And when you leave, you don't even remember nothing they said. So we began to search for effect in our writing. And we began to use the language of the everyday people. And that's Ebonics, basically. Because Ebonics only, the definition is Black sounds. And so we begin to develop those sounds with the truth. Like I said, we weren't looking for applause. We had a cause. And, you know, that's what we did. If you listen to our poetry, we talked about everything. Hey, world, money, you know, pimping, leaning, whatever the world was going on in our life, our family. Like I told you guys, I said about my grandfather and my grandmother training us to be who I am right here now, sitting here talking to you. This was one of the first poems I wrote. Papa used to say, some wise to me each day. Take life seriously always, son, respect everyone. Make your word your bond as to some of you and what you do. If you say it, mean it, screen it. If it's dirty, clean it, making surely that you mean it. Cause alive, my boy, is like a fly. Now it's here, now it's there, looking for a place to die. But truth have proof, like it be a hole when you pull a tooth. And fat meat is greasy and living right ain't easy. Those are facts clearly seen unless a man is living a dream. First was the word, so a no good word is absurd. It's the key to the unreal, a bad, bad deal that locks up truth in a cage of lies and attacks facts with open eyes. So be solid, son. Stick love and truth to everyone. Papa used to say, some wise to me each day. Now y'all can ask me whatever you want to ask me. That's my little story. Questions? Anybody got some?
Excellent, brother. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for sharing that historical facts about music, message, and movement. Go open up floor for anybody that has any questions, and I know quite a few people have joined us. But please, if you can open up your cameras, because when you speak, you come across on Facebook with just your name. If you can't, we understand. But
I don't know how to do nothing on here.
Oh, you good, bro. You excellent. I'm talking about Mama Tendaye, Sister Nubia, and the others. When you speak.
Okay, I want to see. I wish I could see y'all. Is that better?
We see you good.
Yeah, we see you, Father.
We see you fine.
How do I see?
Oh, you just cut your camera off.
Okay.
So Haru, you're sharing screen. What's going on?
I was just sharing his YouTube channel and the Facebook and his website.
Oh, okay.
Back now.
No problem. All right, good. All right, we're going to open up the floor though. Baba Mosi, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute. I know you have some questions in Congo, but again, it would be great since we're very balanced. I know we got a lot of brothers and we got some beautiful sisters here with us. And so it would be good if you all could turn your cameras on, particularly if you're going to share anything or ask any questions. But without any further ado, Baba Mosi, I know you have some questions or some issues that you would like to speak to our good brother Amdi, Father Amdi, about, and take
Now,
it.
how do you know I have some questions?
Because I know you're elder statesman, and you opened up with some very powerful expressions, and I just know it ain't about me, he or she, it's about me, and I'm feeling you, Baba Mosi.
No, when Father Amde mentions Creole and it's going back to his grandmother and grandparents and how that brings me back to the way I was raised in a sense, because I had a lot of respect for my grandparents in the sense, and everybody gravitated to them for wisdom. So some people were chosen in the family to do that thing, and my good friend brother Patrick. I'm not sure he's on, but I think he has a meeting going on right now. But he was raised by his grandmother, and you see the product we got. So I understand that very well. It's important that we carry that tradition with us, and we can recall, and as you said, Andy, mentioned that I should the Creole and and I want to go back to that. I guess that poem, the Creole Whispers. And
Ebony Creole
Ebony
Creole
Whis-
Whisper.
yes, yes. I mean, there are some powerful words in that, and when you speak of ancestors' voice dwelling within you or in your mind, can you elaborate on that for us?
Yes, yes. Well, that poem, I'll read it, then I'll elaborate on it, and I think it's self-explanatory if I read it to you.
Okay.
But you see, I thought that this was all me, and that I was really that that hip.
Yeah, it's
And
all you, bro. No matter, it's all you. Believe me.
no, listen to the poem and you'll see.
Okay, all right.
Ebony Creole Whispers. I am a human planet in orbit. I am a human planet in orbit in the universe of planets that must always be the reality in me. I have no desire to ever be the satellite of others' realities. I must always listen to the ancestor voices dwelling in my mind through time. Now I know where thoughts come from. My ancestors bring them to me with the poetic power to set them free. I am their blues and good news. For so long, I was unaware. Those humbling voices were there. My ego was in the way, not allowing me to hear clear. Wise ebony Creole whispers in my ears. Born an old soul, led by teacher, preacher within. What others think here, see, be, mean little to me. I will never be the satellite of others' realities. I must always listen carefully to the ancestral voices within. Everything they went through is in me too. I am their poetic voice of today, the end results of millions of years of joy and tears. I am their blues and good news.
All right, all right. In other words, you're carrying on.
I'm talking about a spiritual
experience.
journey, not a chronological earthly journey. I'm talking about the spiritual journey that's within
right.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's my ancestors are mean. My grandmother never forgot she was raped into existence, and she breeded her grandchildren to rebel on you and to teach. She taught certain principles. I remember the last time I saw my grandmother. It was two things I had done with her. I remember one time I have a poem about when I got off of drugs, and it says, I taught me patience, courage, and order thinking. Me showed I the way to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And I. When I got off the stage to a standing ovation, my grandmother was standing there. And she put her finger up and said, come here, boy. And I went over there and she grabbed my arm and she pinched it real hard. And she said, I. You don't know the nights and days I spent on my knees praying for you to survive. And she turned and walked away. Then the last conversation I had with her, she told me, Anthony, she said, you listened to me. She said, the others didn't. She said, you're the only one like me. She said, and two things I like about you that you learned from me. I said, what is that, Grandma? She said, to put your foot down and don't take it no more if people is doing you wrong. And speak up. And she hugged me. She said, you learned that. And, so what my journey, when I talking to you all, it's the spiritual journey. It has nothing to do with, what's going on physically. It's a spiritual journey.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm sure that a lot of us have gone through that as well, the spiritual journey coming from
Yeah.
you know, the words, like you said, those are wise words. I mean, that's wisdom getting to you and taking you forward, because that I, in other words, that alone give you right. You know, that you can hear it and you can feel it and you can reflect on it,
Yes.
and that
Those
will
are the
carry you
kind of,
forward. Yeah.
that's right. Those are the kind of lessons that I got. Let me give you one that I got from my grandfather. I was going to school. I was in the 5th grade, and a boy called me black. At that time, it was a great insult to call somebody black.
Hmm.
And so I got in a fight with him, and he bust my nose, tore my shirt off. And so I came home. My grandpa used to be sitting on the porch every evening when I came home with his little bottle of wine, taking a sip. And so I tried, we lived in the back house. So when I came that day, I tried to rush past Papa and get on back to the house because I didn't want him to see my nose was bleeding and this and that. So he stopped. He said, "Hey, boy, come here." So I said, oh, I turned around, my nose all bleeding and stuff. And he said, "What happened to you?" I said, "Papa, I had a fight." He said, "With who and for what?" I said, "This boy called me black, Papa." His eyes turned to bullets. He looked at me, and this is the man I love more than anybody on the earth, my Papa. And he looked at me, and I never saw Papa look at me like that. And he said, "Well, what were you fighting for?" I said, "He called me black, Papa." He said, what were you fighting for? You are black. And don't you ever in your life forget that. Man, I walked around that house with tears in my eyes saying, the greatest man in the world just called me black. That's how ignorant I was.
Well, you know.
But I learned a great lesson. I learned that I was black.
That's good. Well, you know that was a word that made some people whip out their switchblades. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How old are you? How old are you? Could I ask how old are you?
Oh, sure. I am what is it, 318? Yeah, something like that.
3 scores, that's 60, ain't it?
Uh-huh.
78.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm 83 actually, because I count the 9 months.
Oh, okay.
But you know, nobody else do. They act like they don't exist.
I hear you,
You
bro.
know, you know what I mean? But you better count them.
Oh, well, I just you know wised me up there, you know. You just, yes, indeed. All right. Well, listen, I mean, does anybody have a question before I jump in there again? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody?
James.
Father,
Yes.
could you know, I've been checking out that new CD, Father. It's magnificent. Do you think you might be able to do the ebony profiles?
Ebony. Oh, wait a minute.
About the one and the zero and yes.
Oh, who black people are?
Yes. Yes.
I love the word black, but they have poisoned it so. I chose the word for this poem of ebony. And as a poet, I love the word ebony. Wait a minute. So that's why I chose the word in this poem. What page again? 23.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you know.
It's a shame we couldn't.
All right, here's the poem.
All right.
Ebony, my love, don't despair. We were here before number one. We're the zero where the one come from. We used to rule ourselves with love, my friends. That beautiful day will come again. Our sweet entertaining spells will turn bitter to the negative critter. Our stolen songs will choke them. Our dances will crack their bones. Their tech inventions will betray their intentions. Poor people's pain, a curse in the universe, creating something much, much worse. Mama Earth will turn to a hearse. Down as up and up as down. Mama Earth keeps going around and around. Ebony is all colors in one, has no beginning or ending. We are the zero where the one comes from. Love and wisdom will be back. Mama Earth spins like that.
Mhm.
Yes, Mama Earth spins like that.
That's very interesting.
Indeed. Thank
Right.
you, Father.
You know, I'm really moved by what you were saying, Father, because we are spirit beings having a physical experience, and we will always be spirit. This is just a physical thing that we're going through right here, this little temple we're in right here on earth. But our ancestors are waiting and watching children crying and dying. And there are those of us that are carrying on the works of our ancestors that are very important. That's one of the things we're doing with the Garvey movement. Many of us were trained by people who work directly with Garvey. And it's our duty to build structures for our young brothers and sisters to go forward. My question to you is, where do you see things today in terms of the reality of where we are right now in 2022? And you can segue into where you think we need to go. Those of us that are conscious enough to understand that, that we're still under the bondage of oppression. And I think you got my drift. I like to call it blacktricity. We were talking about the word black. But to me, blacktricity is a universal phenomenon. And as one elder taught me who worked with Marcus Garvey, he said, Singo, everything is black. He said, out of the darkness comes the light. You have nothing but darkness first in the universe, and out of that comes the light. So anyway, that motivated me to be where I'm at. But anyway, without any further ado, it's not about me, he or she. It's about we collectivity. And it's for you, Father, you our guest. And I know you can break that up for us in a nice way that ties to our ancient legacy and where we are today.
Well, as far as African Americans, we in worse shape than I've ever seen us.
Mm.
I've watched us go backwards. I just saw the other day Biden pass some civil rights bill about some non-lynching bill.
Lynching.
Yeah, well, I was 15 years old when Emmett Till got killed. It was what made me a militant today, in a sense, because after the first time I went to jail, because me and a boy got together and we were talking about it, and a white boy said something in the shower and we hung him. And that was where I went to jail. That was my first time at John Muir Junior High School. That was in 1955. And they just got to the law the other day, whatever they did with it. So and then I watched everything that Malcolm and Garvey and all of the great brothers work for. I've watched it be taken back in increments. I've watched them put things on us in our society, that we didn't want in increments. I watched them corrupt the youth with the music. You see, rap had a baby called hip hop. Hip hop didn't have a baby called rap. They had to stop rap. They had to get control of it and put it in a box. And that's what they did. They went, we were known for playing instruments. We were known for precision performances. Now all we do is walk back and forth on a stage and say motherfucker, excuse the expression. So our youth, they are really in bad shape now. And it's hard for us even to get to them because they are on the internet. And I'm going to say a poem about these kids on the internet, and then we can go on. It says, I hear people say each and every day that the internet will set modern man free like a dolphin in the sea. Now, this statement completely confused me. Since when, my friends, has a net set anything free? Now, my simpleness I regret, but where's the freedom in a net? Fishermen make nets, spiders weave webs, both are traps. The spider knows all in his web. He keeps it in sight day and night, wrapped real tight with a click and a bite. Is it online or in line? Download, unload. Where's the freedom in a net? Stealth traps in your laps, net zero, hero, SkyTel, Intel, DSL, email, tell. Processing your personal sofa info, no telling where it go. Only the net maker really know. Now you used to be able to shred it, but now that's jive. The hard drive is always alive. Wrapped real tight with a click and a bite, Spider-Man can pull you up tonight. Free man freely entering a net will one day experience regret because there's no freedom in a net. Fishermen control their nets. Spiders control their webs. Who, my friend, controls the World Wide Web you're in? What Spider has you in its website? Wrap real tight with a click and a bite.
Yeah.
Yes, I.
That's where our kids are.
Yeah.
And they have taken them from us. And we've allowed it. You know, we fought back, but we have to realize that we have some great losses. Glad that we still fighting back. But for me, and what I think the Black youth should do is get out of here as quick as they can. Stop playing this game. Go to Africa. It's problems, but it's better than being here. It's where well, let's go over there and have a problem. It's home. This is not. So, but my thing now, where I'm at 83 years old, as Confucius said, when I was young and clever, I wanted to save the world. But now that I'm old and wise, I'm trying to save me. And what I mean by that is I've abandoned hope. For humanity. And I've embraced destiny, whatever that may be, positive or negative. And I have chosen to defend bed bugs, fleas, bees, trees, animals, vegetables, because man, he's not trying to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. And it's not a pessimist. You heard what I said. Why embrace destiny, whether it be positive or negative. But for our people here, they got to get out of here, just like Marcus Garvey tried to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go. Bob Marley tried to tell you. Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go, y'all, and stop playing this game. Let's go play with our brothers. If we got to have a fist fight, let's go on over there and do it. Let's try to build Africa, because everybody else is ripping it off. Every nationality and every nation has got a piece of us, except us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I spent 2 years in the insane asylum for drugs. And the amazing thing is I now see the same pictures that I saw in the crazy house, the same scenes on the neighborhood corner.
Yeah.
Insanity. I hate to say that, you know, but I was there where people talk to walls, and now I see it on the corner by my house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing what the damage they have done to us. And that some of us, like is on this Zoom, we survived to still keep on fighting. But like I say, I've turned my attention to those that can't help themselves. Trees and bees and bed bugs and bees and birds. Because I hope I can help some of them. Because I've tried all my life and given a large part of my family's life to this. And my last few days, I want to do something that maybe I can help with. I can't help, man.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. That's a very pointed message. In fact, many of us here, I know those of us that are in UNIA RC 2020, we're building structure for just what you said, brother, for brothers and sisters to exodus, and the exodus in a positive way, and to go back to your own vine and fig tree. So thank you so much for speaking truth to power. And I understand, I'm just a young 70-year-old myself. I'm not like y'all veterans, but I'm still very, very aware of what you said, my brother. I have served in leadership, and I've seen so many different things going on of, I would say, Yurugu in our own people. And when I say Yurugu, I'm talking about evil in our own people. And it is
we damaged.
Yes, and it's super important for us to return home and to heal and to build back to our traditional greatness, Mobutu, Mahat. But I hope some sisters, Mama Tendai, you want to chime in? I know you're hitting in the chat, but I think you want to share some things because I think a lot of what you're hearing is resonating. Mama Tendai?
Yes, I'm sitting in here because I was tired and I'm on this laptop that doesn't have a webcam working on
That's
it.
okay.
So I
That's okay.
apologize.
That's all right.
And I was just telling the brother, I was trying to lift him up and give him some hope because his words that he provides leaves a legacy for even when he is gone, for those who come after you to be able to unravel. So that they have a better understanding. These are words, brother, that you have put together as a poet for all the youth who come in time immemorial to understand what has taken place previously, where our current situation is. So when you have an understanding of your past and you know where you are, you can then muscle up the energy and put together the process to go ahead and move forward. So I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for your understanding, and I'm most importantly grateful for you to understand that your journey is a spiritual one and that your words are spiritual, because I know I had put in the chat when you were talking about the ancestors and them being in you. And I'm saying, when you were talking about Ebony, and I'm saying, we've been here forever. We just keep coming back. So you are your pop. And you're gonna be, that's right. He's in
You're
you.
right.
That's right.
My mama's 104.
Right on, Bob.
So I
Yeah,
hope I get
my
some
mother made her transition last June and she was 110.
Wow, I had a Aunt Nani was 110 in Louisiana
Yes.
many years ago. Yeah.
But I'm saying, but I'm lifting you up because I want, as we make this journey to transition to our next level, to go enjoy knowing that we're leaving things in a few folks' hands who are going to be able to carry it on until this energy of ours is returned again.
Yes, I agree, sister, but I'm not sad or melancholy or anything about it. I'm a poet. I think everything out very carefully and I come to a decision. I'm not in search of, a real poet is never in search of his opinion and of truth. He's in search
Ashe.
of universal truth.
Yes.
Everybody, the sky is blue. Everybody they know that, whether you think it or not. But that's all a poet. So I'm at peace. I'm 83 now, and I'm able to take it slow. And you know, America murders elders. So you have to be cool to be able to get through this maze of things and the new things that they're bringing to us now. You know,
Baba,
like
I'm an elder too.
yes, and you
But
know,
but I'm going out here fighting, okay?
so am I.
As the dirt as they throw over the dirt or whatever, I'm still gonna be holding up my finger saying I resist.
That's right.
So,
They ain't doing nothing but planting a seed.
Yes.
so Sister Mama Tendai, thank you so much for chiming in. Sister Nubia, you want to chime in, Nubia? Nubia? Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Nasaline. This is Ross Jimmy Hyman. I'm Father Lee is my godfather. Me and Maxine married over 40 years. 40 years. This May 2nd, it was 1882 at St. Tekle Hymenot Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So I'm coming out of Los Angeles, and poet, and I'm one of Father's CD before this one, Difficulties Technical, and performing artist. But I have one question for you, Father, about, and I saw Rachel Pearl there coming up. How did we connect to St. Tekle Hymenot, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, going to Lompoc prison, doing for the graduation and the celebration for the United Rastafarian Brotherhood herb out of St. Thomas. How did we connect? How did you connect with that and through the Ethiopian Orthodox Church? And how does that, like Marcus Garvey would say, he's coming back in lightning, thunder, earthquake, and also with the Creole, the grandmother said that she knows she was raped into existence, so she's coming back and breeding that. So coming with that combination, and you reached out to that vibe there at Lompoc, I still have the artifacts of that's over 30 years ago. How did you come in contact with that energy? And how does that relate to now?
Well, when I co-founded the House of Uhuru, and one of the first drug programs in the Black community here in LA, I had started going to prisons, and you know, we were the first ones to take writing into the prisons and stuff like that.
Right.
But how I got it? What are you asking me? How did I do? What about?
How did you connect with that? And yes, I was
Because when I got out of prison, I had been in Lompoc, and so I knew that they didn't have any kind of art programs up there. So I just started volunteering to go up there. I knew the chaplain, and so when I became a priest, that was my ministry, was at Lompoc.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a real big gathering there. The Muslims would come, everybody would come to our gathering. So that's how I got hooked up at going all the way out there to once a month, I think we'd go to Lompoc, California. But like I say, me and a Mexican cat, Manazar Gamboa, we were some of the first ones to take poetry into juvenile hall, and he had lost his gripe was I had lost my community, but he had lost his community to a baseball park called Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium had several communities that it wiped out for that baseball field. Yeah, it was a Mexican community. It was an Asian community. They just wiped all those communities out for a baseball field.
Okay, but we know
So
you're here in LA doing all the good works and up in the Rio Dale, and you know that the Leimert Park is holding down strong and losing a lot of people as far as the elders are concerned. But I want to give one more thing to say that people on this panel, we are blessed. Because my mother passed last year, like the Sister Tendai Well, 110, well, my mother was 104, James' mother 102, father, your father, mother 104. So we have longevity years on our side.
Yeah. And those so was a tough generation of women, weren't they?
Yes, they
Yes,
were.
indeed.
They powerful, man. My mother is so beautiful. Y'all, she smiles and prays. That's all she do. Smile and pray.
Love
Yeah.
Xanaco music.
And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, very witty. Very, very witty.
Yes.
She asked my sister not long ago, she said, where's my mother? She said, I ain't got no friends, my mother, my sisters, and all of them's gone. She said, baby, where they at? My sister say, they in heaven, mama. She say, well, who? In heaven? She said, oh no, I don't want to be there, baby.
Woo!
Yeah, mama said she didn't want to be in heaven. She wanted to be alive.
Live.
So she just is witty, you know.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
But
indeed.
thank God for those examples.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
So while Nubia Kai she can't get on the side, I think she's going to put the question in the chat. But anybody else?
She already did.
Yeah, I
And
missed
she-
it. I couldn't see it. Could you see
Yes, it says, I would like to know what Brother Amade thinks of gangster rap and hip hop poetry.
it? Okay, good question.
Gangster rap came about because they had to get rid of rap.
Yes.
See, we was blowing people's minds all over the world. It's a new art form, and anybody could use it. If you was Mexican, you use Mexican music and do your rapping in Mexican. If you was white, Puerto Rican, you did it in Puerto Rican and use your music, your instruments, your problems, your whatever you wanted to put into your rap. But it was social commentary. That's what it started off. Well, the record company had to get rid of that. That's so they started a thing. If you listen to Crazy Bone, from that group, I can't think of the name of him, but one of the boys' name is Crazy Bone. He talks about a meeting he went to. At this meeting, they talked about about hip hop taking over and what they were gonna do. See, it was all about hip hop had a lot to do with the building of the prison industrial complex. Didn't you see they told them to use drugs? Then you see they cultivated homosexuality, which came out of the prisons anyway. They corrupted our youth in many, many ways, and I'm sorry about the LBG community. I'm not mad at you, but that's not my thing. And so the first thing they did is they had to get rid of rap. I told you they destroyed our careers. The Watts Prophets were discovered by every major record company. They would be blown away when they would hear us in a club or something. We started the first ones to bring poetry and stuff into clubs. And so as we moved on, they saw that they had to get rid of us, that we was growing, this art form was growing. And like I said, it was a rebellious art form that had social commentary in it. They had to stop that. So what they did is that they did the jazz, R&B. I'm not old enough to see them take all of it and then come take ours. And they took it and they called it a thing called hip hop. And they took rap and put in hip hop and put some other DJ in and two or three other elements, they say, and took over hip hop and put it in a box. You had to do 13 bars and all that. It wasn't that. We were organic. Do what you had to do. Fast, slow, however you wanted to do it. You didn't need no 13 bars, but they took it and put it in a box. And what they did, the first thing they did is they came to the studio. And the first thing they told her to get out was the drummer. When you take drumming out of black music, you took it, that ain't no longer hardly no black music. So they told the drummer to get out. And they brought a thing in called a drum machine that can control behavior with sound, tone, rhythm, etc. Y'all know. So they brought that machine in. And as you always saw at that time, it was always white engineers. And you always had to send it to be mastered. and all of this. So they took them out. Then the next thing they did is they told the musicians to get out. Get out of here too. And they brought in an engineer. And that's what's so now you go to a studio, it's an engineer, the drum machine, and you. But it used to be jazz musicians all in the room and everything. All that's over with. They cut down on the money, cut the musicians out, and stopped Black people from playing music. Watts was full of musicians. After the 65 riots, they start funding only visual arts. And it was a plan, but it was to help build the prison industrial complex. And that boy Crazy Bone, if you pull him up, he'll tell you about the meeting he went to. Well, I happened to be invited to one of those meetings by a famous rapper. And me with my fiery butt, I goes in the meeting, goes to this meeting with this famous rapper. So they're trying to introduce me as the one of the fathers of rap and all that. So I'm sitting in this room full of all white people. And I'm wondering, who are they? So I'm sitting out there, I'm just sitting in the audience, I'm trying to figure this out. And I realized it's the record industry as I listened to them talk. They were saying things like, well, they say this is the next big thing that these were accountants, these were agents, managers, that record industry group. And when they start talking about what they're gonna take over this new thing, hip hop, I gets pissed off. Instead of setting my butt down there like Crazy Bone did and listening to the whole conversation, I get mad and walk out. But it was one of those meetings. It was all about the support of the prison industrial complex. Don't you know when you heard them say, give me some gin and juice and hit this nigga in the mouth? You go to jail for that, man. All the things that they push, you go to jail. Then they actually literally put them in uniform. Your first group was Run DMC. If you remember, the thing about Run DMC was their tennis was untied. And they were sitting there with their shoes untied. And all of us Black know, wherever you come from, your mama always said, tie them shoes, boy.
Shoes, that's right.
So they begin to take our children from us in small increments. That was rebelling right there. Now, they started with the feet, shoes untied. The next thing they moved up to sagging. Now, these are all jailhouse elements, okay? Sagging comes from when you're in jail, y'all ain't never been to jail. When you walk through the clothesline, you can't say I need a number 26 or number 30 for my waist. You take what they give you. So a whole bunch of people is sagging, okay? So sagging come from the penitentiary. Then they moved up to a chain on the neck, and then they moved up to tattoos all over the arms and legs with their stories. And when they saw they couldn't cover that, they started putting it in the face. So it literally became a uniform. And the last top into the uniform was a hat turned sideways or backwards. And the police could tell who you was from 10 miles. You were in uniform. And we didn't even know it, how they slowly, I was working with the beginning, the first Crips, Raymond Washington, the founder.
Father, excuse me, Brother Keith.
Yeah.
Thank you, you muted. All right, never mind, go ahead, he muted.
Yeah, so I watched what they did to these kids, and they took over that thing and got rid of rap and called it hip hop, and took control of it, the record industry. And you see what they doing to us? They got these kids killing each other like it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We are looking at them do it. They got the records all over. Well, we can't hear it now because the kids are listening to stuff and you can't tell. Your 5-year-old may be listening to it. So, you know, that's what they did to rap, and they took it over and it helped build the prison industrial complex. and many other things. It's corrupted our people in many, many different ways.
Well, well, you know, my brother, that is a very sad refrain. Yeah. But you know, there was a line in I don't remember what poem that was where I think you said that you learn to have hope, or you learn to have hope even
Not in the face
in the
of hope.
face of no hope. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at this with what you've just said, or thinking about this, and you know, one of the reasons why we have this cultural program on this in this month of poetry, National Poetry, I think is the month, Poetry Month it's called,
Yes.
that we're trying to, and having you with us is we're trying to get young people, the younger people who may be in this, to listen to wisdom coming from the old, and because we are trying to be hopeful that we can do something about this, because the messages they are getting, we are not on that frequency, but we need to work hard at it, because we have to be open. We, like you said, we're losing. I mean, we're losing, and we're seeing this among the same artists that are doing this rap thing. You call it rap, but I mean, whatever they're doing now, they're the ones that are. I mean, there's anger in there somewhere, and a lot of people are dying. So, I mean, what do we have to be hopeful about, really?
Well, you see, there was three things. You know why I stopped working with gangs, brother? I was working with them from the very beginning. I had Bob Marley to come. He came to help me. But why I stopped working with gangs is I saw three elements that I knew I could not deal with. And they were these three. One was an informant. Every police department and every police in every district, Linwood, Inglewood, etc., have their informants. That's a part of their job. That was an element I knew I couldn't deal with, and I began to recognize it because they're all trained the same way. Then the other one was an agitator who moved around the community, and he always caused mess. We would be having problems in a meeting trying to get a gang thing together, a gang truce, and he'd run in the door talking about somebody just shot at him. So then the last element was a killer. And everybody knew he was a killer. The whole neighborhood knew he was crazy and a killer. But he would go to jail and always get out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they had a school thing called YTS, Youth Training Center. And I think that's where they were being trained. I saw programs that was coming out of City Hall, like Teen Post, where gang members just sit around all day and got a check.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't doing nothing. And I watched all this. The gangs told me, Eki came to me one day, said, man, we don't even have to do nothing to advertise our gang. He said, because everything come on the news that was done to somebody, they say we did it. They were getting free advertisement. They were cultivated, you know what I mean? I told you, those three elements made me and my wife get out of it because you can't deal with them.
Yeah. But you know, I'm looking at this in the sense of us acting collectively, because I mean, I know it's a very hard thing to do. That's getting our folks coming together to act as one in the community. I mean, we've got, if you look at, well, I'm here in Washington, D.C., we've got several groups working with youth. And for some reason, we're still having the same situation. And I think maybe what is really needed is a collective effort, because we're all going in different directions, and maybe we're being funded in different ways too. So you gave up doing that, but was that a matter of let's say the public enemy number one thing you talk about the corruption and all that stuff? I mean, how did that affect you?
It affected me to try to save my children.
Mm.
Basically, that was the beginning of it. But because I wasn't paying attention to my own kids, trying to help my community and its kids. So I turned my attention more into what I was doing and into my writing and being a poet, because I realized that I could have more of effect as a poet than I could, trying to do it another way. And you asked me, what, here's one thing that I think we should do. You had asked me, what should we do? One of them is, an elder man told me, children today are raised like chickens, thrown into this world to grow, not knowing what they need to know or which way to go. Wait a minute, let me look in that book.
Yeah.
Or which way to go. Sonny said, lend me your ear and I will make it clear. Planting seeds in the garden of a young brain is a deep, deep thing. You've got to breed what you need, or evil will plant its seed. You see, man is fertile like earth. What seeds are planted determine his worth. The cultivation of your child's mind must be done on your time. A chicken don't let a duck raise his chicks, making chickens act like ducks. Man must protect and educate the fruit of his own vine, or leave a generation blind. Fish run in fish schools and learn fish rules. Ducks quack and roosters crow is a fact we all must know. Copycat is a fact, na, when it comes to things like that. When a man sows his seeds, you can be sure he's not getting weeds. Plant God first deep into the soul of a new birth. Throw righteous seeds where you see a need. Plant respect and that expect. Sprinkle the seeds of faith, love, 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 and work early in the garden of a young child's mind, and divineness shall occupy its time. You've got to breed what you need.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, Father.
Very, very, very key wisdom. Baba Mosi, I'd just like to add in there, because, it's kind of important for us to understand everybody's not going to make it, period. Everybody ain't going to make it. And they are going to be those of us that do make it. So it's important for us to be very clear that you mentioned collective. Well, there are youth that are conscious and not lost. Unfortunately, more of our youth are. We need to reach everybody we can. And as my brothers say, exodus. We need to get them out of here and get them home and get them settled. In fact, some of our youth are in Africa now doing work. So I want to say that is very important, because I just spoke to Chief O'Day in Sierra Leone today about this very issue. What's going on there and how he's working with youth there, and what our wise elder, Father Amade just shared with us is so important about sowing your own seed. So we got to work with our own youth. Those of us that are grandparents, we got to work with them, and we got to reach the youth that we can reach. And of course, Mama Tendaye's son has stepped forward, and quite a few other youth. So we don't give up. But we certainly got to recognize many of us are called to do different work. We were called to do work before we even got here. And I know that for a fact. Senghor means descendant of the ancestors. I know it ain't about me, he or she, it's about we collectivity. But in the spirit, we putting structure together that will move our people in the right direction. But everybody ain't gonna make it. I just have to call it like it is. Everybody's not gonna make it.
No, they're not. That's reality.
Yes, and so we gotta work with those who wish to make it and make the best of it. And it won't take a lot to flip the script. But you know, of course, I bleed for our brothers and sisters and our youth that are dropping in the street. But we have to understand that there's some cleansing going on too. It's a universal cleansing going on, and we have to accept that reality. It's hard for us to accept it. You know, many of us, when we leave here, we mourn more. But you know, there's life after life if you're in the spirit world, and we have to recognize and accept that. So anyway, I just wanted to add that because I really appreciate the wisdom being shared, and that was the purpose of this,
Yes.
so that we can share it with other artists so that they don't go to the wrecking industry. They don't go to the wrecking industry to be wrecked. They create their own avenues, and they come with their get around their own elders and learn how to raise in the consciousness. And I just have to thank my brother for laying it down, because he's speaking truth to power. And that's what our people need, truth. They're running from the truth now, and they're running to the wickedness. So we got to try to rope them in, but we can't get everybody. And we have to really accept that reality.
And elders have to be careful.
Yes.
Because they look back, and that you have to look back to go forward. But what an elder have to remember is now is new. Now is new. Right this moment, you can do something old or you can do something new. But now is new. The past is history. The future a mystery. Now is new. What's now is new. What you gonna do with now? Because now is new. Now is new. And a stagnated mind, I say a stagnated mind, I say a stagnated mind, I say a stagnated mind, it don't stagnate time. Time just moves on to now is new, now is new. Right this moment, y'all. Do something new.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yay, both.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Old folks have to remember that.
Yes.
Hey, you guys, help me with my book. See it? Ebony Creole Whispers.
Okay.
Brother Harold, can you
All those poems you heard are in there.
so we can get everything on your website, correct?
Yeah, or Amazon, or you know,
we're gonna Harold, can you put the website up again, please?
Right.
Let's leave it up.
But like I said, you can get it on just about all the different platforms.
Okay.
But for all of you out there in Facebook world, you know, check out how you can get a hold to these products, because these products are like inspiration to raise your consciousness. Books, DVDs, and are there CDs too, or is just DVDs?
It's a CD.
Oh, CD. Okay, great.
Yes, I got it. And then you can get it off, you know, CD Baby or any stuff like that. You can listen to it.
Okay, so I know all of y'all young folks out there listening, y'all know how to go to CD Baby, but you can also write down the websites. And it's very, very important, because we're spending our time, as Baba Mosi said, doing what we best can do to reach those of you that wish to be reached. And those of you that don't want to be reached, stay out of our way.
Yeah, just go and do what you got to do. You know, that I'm agree with you, brothers. Leave us, let us alone. We just trying to do our thing and move on. Out your way.
Yes, sir.
I like this. I like this new hardback you got.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
I like that.
Yeah, I gotta get me my copy, because I didn't even know it would. But anyway.
Well, y'all know, poets don't make no money.
Yeah, well, yes, that's why we gotta do the best we can to help you out.
That's what I'm just telling. Help old man just keep moving on. That's all. That's all it'll do. You know.
Well, listen, that brings me to, let me go back a little bit with you.
Sure.
Me today, you tomorrow.
The album.
Yeah. And specifically I mean, where those words came from. The piece that had those words. You know what I'm trying to say is that when I hear that, I think that this, although it was done decades ago, it's still very appropriate for this time. You know, it's, I mean, we still have the wars, we still have all the issues. So that during that period of time, those issues are still with us today. And that's what I'm saying, it's so appropriate that we can play this, we can throw this out there, and it still would be relevant. It still would be timely because of the words you have in that poem.
Well, you see, that's what makes a poet. What makes a poet is if your lines live in the library of people's minds. Like if I say to you right now, the revolution will not be televised. Who is that? That's Gil Scott, right?
Yes.
Everybody know that because it lived in the library of your mind. That's the idea of a good poem, to lodge in the library of people's minds, if not the whole poem, the concept of the poem, or a line in the poem. That's what a poet's job is, to plant those words in the library of people's minds so that they can learn them, and they become a part of them, hopefully.
My brother, I'm a poet and I know it. You're right. That's why I branded Blacktricity. It's not mine. It came through me.
Yay.
When I went to Ghana,
You
they
didn't
pushed
have no
Blacktricity. Beg your pardon?
Yeah.
because you ate it all.
Wow.
Yes.
James, that's James Wilson.
That's James' mama talking.
So I just want to testify though. I want to testify to what my brother just said. This is so important because when I traveled to Ghana and I was drumming in the square with the brothers and sisters around in Kwame Nkrumah, and I dropped some Blacktricity, a Blacktricity poem. They grabbed it right away. And right now, not only are they UNIA members in Ghana, but they're pushing Blacktricity because Blacktricity is not for, and they called me up and said, brother, is it okay if we do some tea? I said, I don't own it. I just brought it. It just came through. And so that's what very important what my brother was just saying about poets. And I had an opportunity of meeting Brother Gil Scott. I also knew quite a few of the last poets. So I really appreciate though what my brother is sharing now, because this wisdom, as Mama Tendai said, is very important. And that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing, so that we can preserve it, so others can catch hold to it and grab what blends with them. Because as Garvey taught us, clearly, hear all, but attend only to that affects you. So all of us basically have ancestors holding on to us or are in us. Our ancestors waiting and watching, but they're in us. They are us. You know, and my brother said he counted those 9 months while he was in his mother's womb. Very, very important.
Yes.
That's probably the most purest time of a human being, those 9 months, because he's protected from all the craziness in the world. But anyway, I'll stop right there. I know other people got a lot to share, but I'm really moved, brother. I really appreciate you taking time out and sharing with us, because many of us here are committed to putting together a Mahat Mobutu structure to pass on to the young brothers and sisters that we have. And even though they're not right here on Zoom, we got some young brothers and sisters doing some stuff in Africa.
Oh, I know we do, yes.
And working, but we don't got enough of us. So that's what Baba Mosi is saying. We got to reach and we got to come up with ways and means of doing things. And, you know, we here in Banneker City, the dumb side city, DC, and but we on the Banneker side. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone, let somebody else speak truth to power. But I'm just excited, I'm motivated, and I'm moved. And I'm learning, we're learning.
Well, you know, along the way, I learned about poetry having an effect. I remember I did a poem, and I never did this poem again. This poem, go ahead.
No, it's okay. The brother James just muted.
I said I did a poem, and that's when I first learned about poetry had to have an effect and what an effect really was. I did a poem, it was in the late 60s, and I did it at a very famous club in LA called Mavericks Flat. And it was mostly college students. And so I did this poem, it's very, very short. And I said, dig, sisters, in wigs and homemade eyelashes. What's your trip? You say you black and you proud when you're in the crowd, but when you're home alone, many false things you put on. Hot fire to the brain and glue in the eyes. What's your thing? Are you ashamed of what you had when you came? And when I said the word came, a wig hit me in the face. And a sister came up on stage crying and took that wig and started beating me on stage. I just bowed my head and let her do what she was doing. And she was telling me that just because she had on a wig didn't mean that she wasn't as serious about being black as I was. And she just beat me and cried. And I never did that poem again because I wanted to help, not hurt. But that's when a poem is having effect. It must have an effect. A line must live in the library of people's minds in some way, you know. So when you work your poetry, work every word. Every word must have weight. That's hard for people who write real long poems.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because like me, I go through every word. It must carry weight. It must have some impact. And you have to learn about those master lines, and especially poets as they get older, because all along, poetry flows through your conversation, and you have to be able to recognize it. I be talking to poets, and they be saying such beautiful lines, and they didn't even see it. It just passed through, but it's a master line. Poets have to really listen to themselves, because in writing their conversation, you hear poetry. And if they're aware of that they sometimes drop these poetic lines just organically. You got to stop and listen to yourself, in a sense.
Right.
The best conversation in the world is with you. You can't have a greater conversation.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, you're in today's language. I mean, today's technical, or I should say, digital world. You seem to have been listening to yourself, so the reason I'm saying that is that I would like you to comment on Algo.
My poem, Algo?
Yes, your poem, Algo.
Okay, I better read it so they'll understand what algo is.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Algo is short for algorithms. Selfie, selfish, digital moments, digital face, digital taste, addicted to tech. Algo is standing by. Invisible violence is in the air. Algo is everywhere. Stealing data, providing solutions for all institutions. Makes no difference where you go, high, low, fast, or slow. Algo, no. Algo, the new spy. Got every tongue tap from Hollywood to the ghetto. Everybody's dancing the algo. Most don't know they dancing the algo, yet it's the only thing they really know. We all dancing the algo. The new mentality created by man's virtual reality. Algo tells you what to perceive, what to believe, when to laugh and when to grieve. Downloaded minds full of downloaded perceptions, no exceptions. We all dance in the algo. To non-organic, out-of-life step and robot rhythm. Invisible violence is in the air. Algo is everywhere. And a downloaded app multi-robot mentality has become the world's reality. Virtual reality has become reality. And everybody is dancing the algo.
All right. Yeah.
That's what algo is about.
Yeah.
Complete control of mind, body, and soul. Nobody even questions it. When you're writing something and it anticipates your word, Well, I don't like anything invading my mind like that. I don't want you checking in my mind and finding out how I'm thinking like that. And you're so precise that you can think of the next word I'm fixing to type. I want to know about that. That's all of us. You think of something and then there it is on the computer. I was thinking about a refrigerator, not as the apps on refrigerators. I mean, come on. I mean, and it's nothing I can do about it, but I do want to be aware of this, that you're invading my spirit. And I really hate that you know how to do that, because I don't appreciate that. I don't
Yeah.
appreciate you invading my privacy like that.
Indeed.
The kids think it's nothing. They have no, they have no concept of privacy. We can't help it. They was born into it. We allowed it.
Yeah, they
The best
spell
we
words
couldn't
for you.
we couldn't help ourselves. When I was a boy, 20 years old, 70% of Black women had husbands that were marriageable. Now, less than maybe 10, 15. Why in increments they did this. All of you that are older, you watched them take jazz. It turned from black to white. You watch them take R&B and put Adele over Aretha. They just in increments take it always and control it. Because art, Plato says, if you don't control the music will disrupt the people. You have to control the music. They knew that from a long time ago. Because one song can have the world dancing to it. That's how powerful art can be.
Well, you know what the weapon is. You made a poem about that as well. The weapon being, public enemy number one.
Yeah, money.
Money. Oh,
yeah, that's Brother Otis, the one who died.
Okay.
Hey, world.
Yeah, hey, world, ain't you scared this fool called man gonna kill you dead? He got big iron birds flying through your sky. Your mountain tops ain't so high. Your Beverly Brook done lost his bubble. Y'all better hear us, world, cause you in trouble. Even your 4 seasons is acting funky and strange. You got winter and spring and fall. And sometimes summer don't come at all. Hey, world. That's one of part of Otis's poem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob, I'm getting ready to pour it on now. JW, I'm gonna pour it on. James.
Yeah.
And Gore and all Mosi. Yes, Rastafari. More time.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you for joining us,
my
brother. And stay on the one, man.
Blessings.
Yeah, well,
thank you, Ross Hine.
Yeah, we have about 12 minutes left, to which we can wrap up, and so if there are any questions, any more questions, come forward right now. So before I ask, Father to Amade to have a last word. So if he pleases to do so.
Okay.
Father Amade, I want to thank you. I want to thank you greatly for coming in today and being a part of this. This is a ceremony for you. We talked about the fact that you received the accolations that you have, and we'd like to put together something to honor you in addition to this day. And so you'll be hearing from us soon come.
Well, you guys don't owe me anything, man. It's all right. I want to be a part of this, I told you, this society murders elder people. So we
Well-
need to talk to each other.
Well, I believe I heard in one of your poems, in one of your poems, that that nobody owes us anything, but we're owed everything that the Creator wants us to so have. You said
Yeah,
something
that's
like that. How did you say it, Father?
I can't remember, but what poem was it?
Oh, it. God. Oh, I can't think of it right this minute. Bad. Been a quite a day.
That's
But
okay though, James. You headed the right place though, because we do need to bless and love each other up.
That's
Like
right.
Father said, we do need to bless each other and father each other. I mean, and love each other up because we all we got.
No. I think the poem says the world don't owe me something. There's an old cliche: the world don't owe me nothing. But I say the world owe me every day that's Most High send my way.
That's right.
There you go.
That's what you say.
There you go.
That's right. Well, let me leave you with a poem. Wisdom and knowledge left college. This is the first time I went to UCLA, and I didn't have no poems for white people, so I wrote this one. Wisdom and knowledge left college. Wisdom went east, somewhere to a feast. Knowledge went north, south, east, and west in conquest. Technology became life's test. Wisdom hid because of what knowledge did. Hid away till judgment day. Knowledge moved on as far as the moon, cracked the earth and took its worth. Stole man from life, messed up air, poison everywhere. Creative knowledge without wisdom flourished, and bigger bombs were made and dropped on have-nots. Birth control became a goal, knowledgeable monsters gained control. Souls were stole for mere gold. Technique was in the minds of mankind, floating in wine, sailing through life in a therapeutic way. Learning new technical tricks, life slowly sliding away. Books, not feeling was man's thing. Man checked a book on how to cook, took his life to a psych into a book he would look to label your brain schizoid, paranoid, or some other technical jive. Then make you look at you and not he. Remember, my brothers and sisters, what I say to you. For life have showed me all this pain. Label the evil thing, but raise your black heads high, because knowledge without wisdom will die.
We'll die.
Wisdom hid because of what knowledge did.
Yeah.
Hid away till judgment day.
Yes.
Judgment.
Yes.
That ain't
sir.
far.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Yes, indeed. Right. Well, you know, I wish that I could have, because I love the music and everything that goes with that poem I spoke earlier of, which is me today, you tomorrow, coming from you know, the Watts prophets, because I think that is so telling about
Me today, you tomorrow. You watch horror with no sorrow. Me today and you tomorrow. That's what you're talking about.
yeah,
For
those
every
words.
beginning, there's the end to all created by man. What you do turns on you. Night turns to day. I can't remember the poem right now. I got so many poems in my head that yet run
Yeah,
together.
I can understand that, but specifically, you did mention that part that I feel is so appropriate when you speak of you know, the horrors that what is those that
Me today and you tomorrow.
yeah, the horrors that the horrors
You watch horror with no
you
sorrow.
watch, right, you watch horrors with no sorrow. You know, we've got wars, we got stuff going on today, a lot of wars, and you know, I'm not wanting to get into too much of that because of what we're on, but you watch horrors with no sorrow, and that's all I think it come back to you. I mean, they were wars when, you know, you horrified the world with the shock and awe. You killed hundreds of thousands of people and all that. And these people were not, let's say, white people, and they weren't even considered like that, even though they're Asians and none, they would be white in our term. But a lot of horrors, people being killed by drought, stuff caused by environmental circumstances and all that. You're watching these horrors without sorrow. And then people are coming to your borders as refugees, and you're whipping them because they're of color. And then today you have some horrors going on in Europe, and you're taking in hundreds of thousands of white people, and you're not whipping them at the borders. You're just lining them up and getting their names. This is the kind of horror that we have to live all the time with. You know, you invade countries and you cause them to like Haiti, for instance. You know, it's a basket case economically. And people are running out of it and they're coming to your borders. The horror of them having to leave their own country to come somewhere else. And then and the reason is you interfered with the way they were their life. They're coming here at the borders and you're whipping them. You're blocking them. You're keeping them away from entering. And then somewhere else, people who look white people. And you know, Eastern Europeans, a lot of them are blondes and blue-eyed. But they're coming in and you're letting them in by the thousands, easily. And you're not afraid to mention how many you're letting in. Meantime, the horrors that are happening when Africans have to cross the Mediterranean and they're drowning in the Mediterranean.
Survival of the
because
fittest.
you disrupt their lives in Africa.
Baba
They have
Mosi,
to leave, and you're not
survival of
letting
the
them.
fittest. Survival of the fittest.
Well, you know, but
We
I'm saying,
are responsible, Baba
yeah.
Mosi. Survival.
I'm going to the
of fittest.
poem though. I'm going to the poem. This poem is so appropriate, bro. I mean, you got to listen to it. The whole poem, and you will see that it's appropriate for today. We've got these issues, and it, you know, issues that goes way back, but they seem to repeat themselves over and over and over again. So my brother, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for your presence. I'm thankful that you were able to join us today.
Well, I thank you all, man. I want to thank all the audience for taking the time to listen to a little old street poet. That's all I am, you guys. I'm no different than anyone else. I just express myself a little bit, you know, sometime. And look, Charles Wright from the Watts 103rd Street Bands always said, express yourself.
Yes.
That's right.
That's what I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Well,
all
you
you.
know, this is not my show, really. So I'm going to call on those coordinators. Baba Senghor, any last word?
Yeah, Mama Tendai, you want to share anything, Mama Tendai?
No, she has problems with her computer.
No,
right now.
she's fine.
I'm
She's
back.
fine.
I got on my other computer because I was missing too much.
Okay. All right.
So no, when you were speaking of the horrors, I was saying, Baba, look how we're desensitized to the horrors of everyday living.
Yeah.
Everyday living in this country is a horror.
Yes.
You turn on the news, the first thing is who killed who ran over who shot up what school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it desensitizes you to the essence of life, okay, and to life being a gift and appreciating it and honoring it. And as a result, then it's easy for us to take life because it doesn't mean anything.
Teach Tendai.
Okay. So then you have the added component of what you were talking about too. But I'm just saying is we're already desensitized because it's surrounding us, it's everything. And I'm saying since I work with young people, you know, in the colleges and the universities and whatever, and they coming from the corner. Okay, same corner I was on too. All right, because you know, I'm first generation.
Yep.
And I'm saying, and they come wounded like that. And we
Yes.
holler about them not being able to plan because they've experienced so much death. They have no sense of what life is.
Exactly.
Sister, they've almost removed common sense from them.
So, you know, and Tendai, if I may add, you know, Garvey warned us. He said, if you don't
Yes.
know yourself, you're doomed to failure.
Exactly.
You know, so it's nothing new under the sun is my
Right.
point. I understood what Baba Mosi was saying, but it's nothing new.
Right.
Except for we have not come into renewing ourselves of who we're supposed to be with our traditional greatness, because we can change all of that. We can stop all of that when we really deal with our self-development and our self-determination. So what I'm saying is, blood, death is going to continue to happen before us until we come back to our traditional greatness and provide a way out. It's that simple. That's what I meant by the survival of the fittest. And believe me, the way I feel the ancestors have said to me is that what comes around goes around, and what is jumping off right now is karma and cleansing.
Hello.
And karma and cleansing
Yes.
is going on right now on the planet because we have not treated the planet properly. Not only our children, I said we have not treated the planet properly, so we are paying karma. And until we wake up and do the kind of work we're supposed to be doing, we're going to continue to pay that karma. It's a hard lesson for us to learn, but we are blessed to be able to convene like we are now and hear from our elder brother and the wisdom, because that's our ancestors speaking to us.
That's
our
right.
ancestors are with us, telling us where we went wrong, what we did wrong, how we got away from the right way, how we've been hoodwinked to go away from ourselves, and consequently, we are going that way instead of this way. And we're here to flip the paradigm, but that's my closing remarks, because it's all about love. But we have to understand the Most High in the universe got this. Our ancestors got this. They can't do anything to our ancestors in the Most High like they've been doing to us. They can't. And that's why we got to blend with them. So you can close us out, Tendai. Please close us out, Tendai, or James, one of y'all close us out.
These are nothing but birth pains that we're going through. Something
I
new.
hear you, brother.
Remember that.
I feel you, bro.
Something new is coming through.
And Baba Mosi, I feel you too, Baba Mosi. It's all love. But you know, we might be, as the elders once told me, I might be old, but I ain't tired yet.
Right.
Me neither.
All right.
No,
And as you had said, Baba, creation occurs in the dark.
Yep.
At the darkest hour is when we need to be the most creative so that we can bring forth the light.
That's right.
That's right.
We need to give birth. So we on it, Baba.
Light couldn't exist without us.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. And it's all love.
That's
All right.
right.
Baba Mosi,
All
I
right.
just want to make a quick announcement. Next Friday, we will be back here and we'll be grinding. And then all the people that are going to be presenting next week are going to get this particular tape so they can hear this, because Ivy Hilton is going to bring it. And from the healing perspective, Brother Putu is a Liberian brother. He's going to be bringing in some African kind of music and vibes, and he's independent. Ross Ledge is going to be dealing with reggae, independent. He calls it go-go and reggae mixed. And then we got Jamal Gray, the son of Baba Jimmy Gray, Elder Jimmy Gray with Black Fire. So, you know, this is going to continue, but thank you, Father Amdi, for laying the groundwork. You laid the groundwork for us, and we're gonna stick to this message. We ain't gonna let it go. We ain't got no choice.
Well, thank y'all very, very much for listening.
We love you, Father. One love.
One
All
love.
right. Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being on. Thank you. I want to thank those folks who will be on Facebook watching as well. And we're gonna close out now.
Oh, Baba Mosi, I'm sorry, Baba Mosi. We got one of our young warriors just showed up. You know, one of our young warriors just showed up. So I would like him to share quick words and close us out, if that's okay with all y'all elders.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, you know,
He's just coming in because he had to go take care of some business, so he missed it. So I'm saying I'm glad it's taped so that he can hear it.
Well, he can check it out, but I know he got some wise words for us because, you know, I like the fact that he stepped in right on time because we're talking about, you know, your generation and generations to follow you. So if that's okay, Baba Mosi, he can close us out. Just a few words of inspiration, bro. I know we put you on the spot, but you know, as a Garveyite, you never know when you're gonna be called.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. I would just really want to touch on Supreme Justice Ketanji, and it was a picture taken of her daughter in a purple suit, but the joy that she exhibited looking at her mother go through the controversy and have to answer these illegal questions and really give us a refresher course on how they're supposed to be judging us in that nature. But it all comes back to family. And we know nation building is nothing but groups and groups and groups of family. So, you know, everything starts with the family and our upbringing. So just these forums right here, because this is the forum to connect us to people across the world and our different families, our cousins, our brothers, our aunties, our uncles, and like I said, the connected family. So we need to be actively participating in these things. Now, we do understand that life moves us around different directions, and sometimes you be in, you be out, but we have to make a active decision to participate in these things, because this is the only way you get the knowledge, maintain the knowledge, and know what to do with the knowledge. You know, a lot of us have the knowledge, but we don't know what to do with it. Why? Because the elders are the one that precede us. The warriors are just for what? War. The elders are the one who makes the strategic decisions. So we have to get back to those things of community. So all that said, you know, we're going to start with nation building. We're going to end with nation building because that's our dream. That's Garvey's dream. And that's what the united front to move our body.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, my brother.
Wise words, brother.
Because you are the link.
Yeah, I appreciate that though. You came in right on time. And I know when you get to digest this, we'll have conversations and we'll go forward. But I appreciate
Well, any youngster that should get an elder or deal with elders, because when you deal with an elder, if you're wise, you will get the beginning, middle, and ending.
Wise. All right.
All right.
That's
So
definitely true. And just even what we're doing in the forum is connecting the raps. Like, I know about the last poets. I know who preceded the last poet. I know about Gil Scott Heron, but who the rest of the youth don't know.
Right.
And these are powerful messages like that. We're now the Watts Boys, right? We're now misusing rap. Rap was a tool for revolution. Yeah, right. I know he went into it. That's his legacy. That's what he does.
So once you hear this guy, we're gonna talk because, you know, while we were in St. Croix, we talked about you and we're gonna be vibing. So I just wanted the fact that you showed up right when you did, I think was the divine intervention. And I think while you showed up, that's why I called on you, because we see ourselves as one generation. I mean, you know, one generation. However, what the elders said is if you don't check out those that brought you in here, hey, how you gonna go out and who gonna check you out when you understand what I'm saying? Everybody's on the one, and that's how we like to roll. But it's very important that the information that you shared with us, I've had a chance to digest, really appreciate it. A lot is gonna happen. We don't want to do a meeting right now, but we will talk to you. We really appreciate that. And you showed up right on time. That's all I can say. I mean, you showed up right on time. You know, you're not late. And we got this recorded. So you're going to get to check it all out. And once you do, I'm sure you're going to have a lot more to say than what you're saying now. Because I know that's where I'm at.
All right.
All right. We stop right there.
Love y'all.
All right.
Love you.
All right. Thank you, folks. And we'll get out with one God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Peace and love.
Peace.
All right.
Free
Thank
the
you.
lane.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Y'all too.
Yeah, he broke it down for, you know, because he.
Brother Heru, you can close us.
Thank you, brother.
Good night.